Tasmai Namaha. Yeah, this is a small prayer which means I offer my respects unto my Guru, my teacher, who has given me the torchlight of knowledge to walk through the dense, dark forest path of this material world. Hmm? He has given me the eyes to see things properly. So, and that's what Krishna also did to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. You'll find that Krishna gives Arjuna the right knowledge to see properly. And therefore, they say knowledge is power because it is through knowledge that we can see. Without proper knowledge, we cannot see. And therefore, the Sanskrit is Pashyan apina pashyati. People in this world are seeing, but they aren't able to see. Can you just close the door? He's talking too loud. In Mahabharata, there's one instance, and I'm pretty sure all of you can recall this instance if you watched Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, once Bhima became very thirsty, and as he became thirsty, he went out to search for water. This is the time when they were already in exile. So when he came across a huge lake, and as he went forward to fetch some water, a deep voice from within the lake said, "Don't touch these waters." Bhima said, "Who are you to tell me not to touch these waters?" And the Yaksha is one particular species. The Yaksha said, "I am the person who is the owner of these waters. And I have a condition. If you want to drink these waters, you have to first answer my questions." So Bhima said, "I'm not going to answer anyone's questions. I'm going to drink my water." And he went to take the water. As soon as he sipped a little water, he lied down dead. And with great anxiety, the other brothers, they were looking for Bhima. And then came Arjuna. Arjuna came and roared, "Who is the fool who killed my brother?" And Yaksha said, "I warned him not to touch my water without my permission." And Arjuna said, "What is so special about your water?" And he also drank, he also lied down dead. Then followed one Nakul Sahadev. And finally, and Nakul Sahadev also lied down dead. Finally, Yudhishthir came to the spot. And then he saw his brothers lying down. They were dead. And Yudhishthir was very morose. He didn't know what had happened. And then Yaksha spoke. And Yaksha said, "It is I who killed your brothers, because I had warned them not to touch these waters without my uh, permission, but they didn't care." Now Yudhishthir asked him, "Okay, what is the sound? Is there anything I can do to bring them back to life?" Yaksha said, "Yes. I just have a few questions. If you answer these questions, then I will bring back your brothers to life." And then uh, Yaksha went on asking questions. In Mahabharata, you'll read all brilliant questions. And as brilliant the questions were, more brilliant were the answers of Yudhishthir. With every answer, Yudhishthir impressed Yaksha. And finally, Yaksha goes on to ask, "What is the most surprising thing you find in this world?" To which Yudhishthir says, "Ahani ahani bhutani gacchanti hayama mandiram sheshastavanam icchanti kimascharjam atah param." Yudhishthir told Yaksha, "In this world, what is more surprising than to see that people in this world, they are dying. Our neighbors die, our pets die, dogs and cats. We have seen our great grandfather only on the photo with the garland on. Sometimes our grandparents, they're hospitalized. Or our uncles, cousins, they might have a premature death. Parents also die. Brothers, sisters, they also die. Friends die. Small children die. If you look at news, it's all breaking news with some people dying, isn't it?" And then Yudhishthir said, "Though this being the scenario, everyone feels there will be no day when I will die." This is the most surprising thing in this world. Everyone around us is dying, but we feel I will not die. To which Yaksha became very jubilant and immediately brought back his brothers to life. So this is called as Pasyanapina Pashyati. We are able to see the truth around us, but still we are not able to perceive the truth. So, therefore, when we study Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of the Gita reveals to us how is this world working. If you know how the machine works, you know how to deal with the machine, how to use the machine, isn't it? So, therefore, this Gita in nutshell is an attempt to help us understand help us understand the working of this world. Hmm. So last time we covered this the four sutras. What are the four sutras? And we covered the first sutra. This body is not all in all. Spirit soul exists. And today we are going to cover the second sutra, which says, anyone remembers what is second sutra of the four sutras? Yes. And I also encourage all of you to unmute your mic and speak up so that it's easy for me to converse, because I'll also be asking very simple questions in between, to which if you can quickly answer, then I can quickly go ahead. Yes, anyone knows what is the second sutra?
Prabhuji, was it the material world is not all in all, the spiritual world exists?
Okay, that is the third sutra.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was confused. I'm trying to recall.
Okay,
Please.
This lifetime is not all in all. Many more lifetimes exist.
very good. Okay, Jayesh said yes, correct. This lifetime is not all in all. Many more lifetimes exist. Yeah, very good. Thank you. So today we are going to see, do we live more than once? Okay, I want a raise of hand from all of you. How many of you feel that we live more than once? You can raise your hand in video, or you can raise your hand, your e-hand, the emoticon hand. Okay. Malhar and Rahul, they say they believe that we live more than once. What about others? What do you say? Do we live more than once or not? Okay, Shivram is saying there's some sort of a lag. So can you please confirm, is my audio, video, everything proper or no? Is there some sort of a lag?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. And how about others? Everyone feels it's fine? Okay, this is also working fine for me. Okay. So can you please tell me, what do you think? Do you feel that we live more than once or live only once? This life is all in all. Some of you said that we live more than once. So we will discover this in today's session. So last time we covered some things. We understood how there is a spiritual spark sitting within this body. This body is actually like a vehicle for the spirit soul, who is actually the living entity. And this body is a way for the spirit soul to interact with the material world, and therefore the soul takes up material body. So just like if you go inside a water body, you will need a swimsuit, some oxygen tank. Why? Because your body is not naturally sustainable in water. So you need a swimsuit to interact with water. Similarly, the soul needs a specific type of a body to deal with the material world, isn't it? So today we'll dive into what reincarnation is, what happens at the time of death, and we will also see some scientific proofs for the presence of soul. Okay, so let me share my screen. You can see here. Yeah, see, scientific proofs for existence of spirit soul. First one is, okay, this is because we talk about spirit soul. Last time we saw 3 external symptoms and 3 internal symptoms. Does anyone remember what are the 3 external symptoms of presence of soul? And what are the 3 internal symptoms of presence of soul? Yes? Anyone? Okay, what are three external symptoms to start with?
Perception, mental activity, and purposeful action.
Okay, very good. Very good. And what are three internal symptoms of the presence of soul?
Prabhuji Satchit Anand.
Correct. Yes. That we can see within ourselves that we have a nature to live on. We don't like to die. And we have a nature to look for knowledge, and we're always seeking happiness. Satchit and Anand. Very good. So today we'll see some scientific proofs to show that soul exists. Okay. So now you can see my screen. Yeah. See, first one is common sense. Why common sense? So you can see the person is dead in the coffin, and all the people around her are mourning for her. And we might say, oh, ye to chala gaya. This person is dead and gone. But if the person is gone, the body is still there. So the question comes, who is gone? Isn't it? Therefore, we understand there is the actual person, the soul has passed away. Okay, second. Second is consciousness. Just imagine there's a camera, a machine which is coded. It has a sensor, a light sensor or a color sensor, and it can sense this particular light. And you can say if this light is equal to such and such the light of a sunset, then you print if I can see red light, isn't it? But it's just coded. But these young couple or this old couple before probably 3-4 decades ago, they were also walking the same sunset and they had some nice memories. So they can actually think about it, they can feel, they experience emotion. So when there is soul, there is expression of emotion. There is emotion then. So therefore consciousness means, can one of you read this? What is consciousness?
Consciousness means to be aware, thinking, feeling, willing, and intentionality.
Yeah, that is consciousness. So the machine doesn't have any consciousness. So we can say in short, what is consciousness? To be aware. And what does it mean to be aware? Thinking, feeling, and willing. If these three functions are happening, that means a living entity is conscious, and that consciousness is symptom of soul. Next, you find this is the near-death experience or out-of-body experience studies. That means at certain times, what happens is the soul, along with the subtle body, comes out of the gross body. It happens many a times. Yeah. Rahul, can you read this? What is being said?
11% to 14% of the average American population who are mentally and physically healthy have had OBE.
Yeah, 11 to 14% who are physically and mentally healthy, they don't have any traumatic conditions. They have experienced out-of-body near-death experience. Yeah, and a lot of research is being done. So enough research in NDE with its impeccable scientific credentials by Dr. Michael Sabom. So in one of his books, Dr. Michael Sabom narrates a story, which is a true story. Once a Russian couple had just landed in America. The next day, the husband, as he goes out to do some shopping, he didn't see properly. He entered the main road and was hit by a truck, because of which he had to be immediately rushed to the hospital. For 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, he was just lying in the hospital. For some amount of time, he was in the coma stage. But after 3 weeks, of being hospitalized, immediately he came back to his senses. And as he came back to his senses, first thing he did was to call the security guard who was guarding his room. And he told the security that immediately rush to the terrace of this building and go, take a left and take a right and go straight. From there, you will see there's a branch. there's a branch of a tree which is about to fall, and this hospital was made of glass. So if the tree branch falls, it can break the glass and it can be a big loss. So he said, please take care of this. You might have to cut down the tree or something. So immediately rush out. The security guard was thinking this fellow has come back to his senses just now. Last 3 weeks he was in coma. How can he know what is happening? So again, the Russian husband who was hospitalized, he again called the security and said, please do something about it. But security didn't take him seriously. Then Dr. Michael Sabam, who was the doctor attending to this patient, he came. And then the patient told Michael Sabam that please you have to do something, otherwise it will fall on the hospital. The branch will hit the hospital glass windows will be broken, and it will be a big loss. So Dr. Michael Sabam, he thought for a while, and he thought, okay, let me see, what he's saying. Why is he saying, though he has not gone out of his bed for last 3 weeks, how is he saying such things? And he asked him, okay, how do you know that there's a tree branch going to fall? And the patient revealed to the doctor, actually, last week, I was able to go out of this room, take the staircase to the terrace, and I went through the door of the terrace because generally terrace is locked. I was able to go to the door of the terrace, and I, went in a certain direction. Then I saw a black box. Then I went further, and from there I looked down and I saw this tree, which is about to fall on the hospital. And Dr. Michael Sabam was surprised because this person is lying hospitalized for last 3 weeks in a coma stage. How is it possible to speak such clear details? So Dr. Michael Sabam, along with some security guards, he followed the same directions of this patient. He went out of the room, went up the terrace, opened the door of the terrace, went outside, followed the certain direction, saw the black box, went further, and saw whatever the patient had said was exactly true. And of course, they took care of the tree. But then Dr. Michael Sabam started doing a lot of research. You can also Google it if you want, Dr. Michael Sabam. He has done a lot of research on near-death experience, where the soul and the soul along with the subtle body comes out of the gross body. Sometimes the patient is made to lie on a operating table, and some objects are kept near the ceiling, on a platform near the ceiling. And later on, once the patient comes back to senses, they ask him what objects were kept, and the patient is able to say what objects were kept. Like a cone would be kept, or a sphere, some objects, and the patient is able to say. This shows how the soul, the living entity, is able to detach from his body and go out. Yeah. So like this, you'll see in the Western world, they have so many books being written on out of body and near-death experiences. And this is the fourth one, reincarnation. So we all have heard of reincarnation, but we might not believe it because we have only heard it from stories, grandma stories. But Ian Stevenson was one person who wanted to disprove reincarnation. And in his pursuit of trying to disprove reincarnation, he came across so many valid cases of reincarnation that he said actually reincarnation is a fact. See, who is Ian Stevenson? He's Carlson Professor of Psychiatry in the University of Virginia. He has over 3,000 cases of spontaneous reincarnation memories. See, so many books written about reincarnation also. Now we will see a case study. See, he says phobias, like some people, some small children are afraid of weapons. Small child, he doesn't know what knife is, but if he sees the knife, he gets very scared. Some people are dead scared of water. Or in Harry Potter, Ronald Weasley is afraid of spiders, isn't it? So like this is like an unnatural fear of something in this world. It is not coming from this life. It is coming from past life. That's what Ian Stevenson says. See? Yeah, phobia of water is called as hydrophobia. Then this fear of bladed weapons. If someone got killed by a bladed weapon in last life, this life they have fear of bladed weapon. Or someone dies in shooting. As soon as they see firearms, they will be scared. And he also says this. See, the twins. The twins are same in their looks. The twins are same with respect to their parents. twins grew up in the same environment within the womb of their mother, isn't it? But you will find sometimes the twins have different temperament. One twin is very angry, other twin is very happy, easygoing. How is that possible? Ian Stevenson explains it is because they're two different souls in different bodies. Okay, now this is a very important case study and it's a small video. So I request all of you, whatever you're doing, you have to pay full attention to see this to understand, and I'll ask you questions after this.
They have the same name and boyish good looks. James M. Houston, raised in the Midwest. James M. Leininger, a young boy from the Bayou.
Whoa! There's something in the eyes. It's undeniable.
That's not all they share.
Somehow James Houston's spirit has affected my son, either through reincarnation. I don't know how it happened.
I can beat the Japanese easy as pie.
Initially, what caught my attention was James's extreme fascination with airplanes.
And every night he slept with his G.I. Joe action figures, which he named.
I took him to the Kavanaugh Flight Museum.
Here's home video. While the other kids casually look at the plane, 2-year-old James seems to inspect it. Watch as he checks the underbelly, then climbs inside, donning the headset.
The pilot put him on?
I said, oh, look, there's a bomb on the bottom. He said, that's not a bomb, that's a drop tank.
Bouncing about in the cockpit, James was flying high. That night, their world would change forever.
He started having the nightmares, and that was my first indication that there was something wrong. It was a panic-stricken, terrorized screaming.
Over and over again, James had this same terrible nightmare, 4 to 5 times a week. He was too young to explain the dream, but he could draw.
Bombing ships, you see men parachuting. Here's another one where planes are dropping bombs.
Help me.
He would just be crying. He'd say, airplane crash on fire, little man can't get out. He laid on his back and kicked up at the ceiling, and he goes, Mama, the little man's going like this. And he laid on his back and kicked his feet up. The little man's going, ooh, 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 can't get out. And I said, well, who's the little man, baby? And he goes, me. I thought Bruce and I were just gonna faint.
They questioned, what kind of plane?
Corsair.
Why did your airplane crash?
My plane was shot down.
Who shot your plane?
He looked at me like I was a village idiot. He said,
The Japanese. I kept thinking, where is he getting this? I was a stay-at-home mom, so I know that there wasn't anything that he was being exposed to.
Not exposed to in this life, but perhaps, just maybe, somebody else was. Decades earlier, James Houston grew up with the same insatiable fascination with airplanes. He became a naval fighter pilot and fought in World War II. March 3rd, 1945, during a mission near Iwo Jima, he took a direct hit. At age 21, was declared missing and presumed dead.
where did he take off from a boat?
Do you remember the name of your boat? He said Natoma.
Found several thousand hits on the word Natoma.
The USS Natoma Bay launched into battle, headed for Iwo Jima in the fight for Lady Gulf.
It's the biggest naval battle in the history of the world.
Leo Pyatt served on the ship. From his home in Ohio, he organizes the Natoma Bay reunions. That's how Bruce found him.
I wanted to disprove it.
He asked a few questions about, did I know some of the people? Oh yeah, I remember those people. And so he got very quiet.
It was all real. The people and places James described actually existed. And remember those G.I. Joe dolls that James named? Turns out 3 men with the same names, first and last, served on the Natoma and were killed in action. James said they greeted him in heaven after his crash.
I'd always asked him, do you remember what your name was? And he always said James. But his name is James.
Yes, there was a Jim Houston, a rather large shell, just hit him in the engine, and it burst into flames and went down.
They showed Leo the drawings.
He was right on the nose. I'm sure, in my mind, that he was there.
Leo invited James, now 3, to the reunion James recognized several pilots, even called them by name.
You're Bob Greenwald. I'm serious.
And he never met Bob Greenwald?
No, he'd never met him before.
And someone else was invited. James Houston's sister, Anne.
And he goes, it's not Anne, it's Annie. She wasn't my oldest sister. I had an older sister than that. And I said, you did? Who was that? And he goes, Ruth. I mean Ruth.
Annie is what they called me when I was little, knowing my name and my sister's name, things that my brother did when he was a kid. It's too amazing to describe how he would feel that way, but he does. He considers me his sister.
But does she consider James her brother?
I think it's probably a reincarnation of my brother.
So any quick points from the video? You just witnessed a true reincarnation study. This was done by Dr. Ian Stevenson. So any points, any facts that you got from the video that shows that this is a proper reincarnation case? What shows that James, the small boy James, is actually the reincarnation of James Houston, who was a fighter pilot?
He used to speak about people and places he didn't even visited, or if he knew that the place or people existed.
Okay, good. He knew the names of the people and the places.
Yep.
Okay. Yes, others?
And he knew about the plane, right? Fighter plane.
Yeah, very good.
Right.
Yes, because when he was just 2 or 3 year old.
2-year-old, and it's very, even for us, for me, I think it's tough to say the plane's parts.
Yeah.
But he was
And when his someone says bomb, then
right,
he
and
said
then he said it's
it's
drop
a
tank.
drop tank. Yes.
Wow, that was right.
Very good. And any other?
He recognized his sister from his past life.
Yes, he recognized his sister, and he also said she is not the only sister. I have an older sister than that. Very true. And others? There are 2, 3 more. What he could recognize.
His co-pilots and other army men.
Yes, very good. He could recognize the co-pilots and the G.I. Joe dolls he had, the action figures. They all had the names of the previous pilots who had died in action, who were his colleagues back then. Very good. And nightmares about the war. Very good. Yes, he had nightmares about the war. That means he could not express it because he was a small kid and the emotion was too much, but he could draw them. He could draw how he was being hit by a large shell, how the war was taking place, and he could also tell about tell people about the details of the war, like the ship called Natoma, fighting with the Japanese. So all these things he could give details. So okay, and Ritik is saying he met with other friends in heaven. Yeah, he says that he met with other friends in heaven. Correct. So all these facts show that James, that boy, it is not some trick being played. Sometimes to prove something, you just put some false trickery. But this is small children, if they are told to lie, you just by counter questioning, you can make out if they're lying or speaking the truth. It's not very difficult. But this James, the small boy James, he was actually pointing out so many facts which all came out to be true with research. So this is just one of thousands and thousands of cases Dr. Ian Stevenson has. I'll just show you one. Yeah. See, I'll send this to you on WhatsApp. You can go through this case study on your own. This is about Shukla Gupta, who remembers her past life. And she takes her family to the place where she was in her past life. And now her husband, past husband, has become an old man. And this is a small young girl. And she's saying, no, this is my husband. There are many cases are there. I'll just skip this. See, even the scientists believe in reincarnation. This is Benjamin Franklin. Who's in position to read? Okay, who else is in position to read? Who haven't read before? Yatin, are you in position to read?
Yes, I can read. So finding myself to exist in the world, I believe I shall in some shape or other always exist.
This Benjamin Franklin said. And next one. Yeah, please read.
Sorry, my dog is there. Those souls who revolted against God were placed here to transmigrate through various species of animals, birds, reptile, etc.
This is by John Adams. Very good. This is Socrates. Yeah.
I'm confident that there truly is such a thing as living again and the living spring from the dead.
Socrates. So they all feel that death is some sort of maybe just some an intermediate event that happens in the journey of the soul's eternal life. Soul always continues to live. And you can imagine, you can also think to yourself, how can we even feel that one day I just stop to exist? It's not possible. We always continue to exist, but in a different form. Different form means we get different bodies. So now what we will see is we will see the mechanism of reincarnation. In this mechanism of reincarnation, we will see what happens at the time of death. Okay, so like last time we were explaining, there are three selves, isn't it? That means three layers to our personality. One is the soul, which is us, around which there's a subtle body, which is mind, intelligence, ego, around which there's the gross body. Gross body is Panch Mahabhut. So at the time of death, what happens at the time of death is the gross body is kept in this world, but the soul leaves along with the mind. It goes to the next life. So now, what type of body will the soul get? That's the question. So to determine what type of body a soul should get, there are certain criteria. And that criteria is two. First is D for desire. Second is D for deserve. What is your desire and what do you deserve? That means according to our desire, we get the next body. And according to how we act in this life, if you're doing good activities, you accumulate something called as pious credit. And if you do some bad activities, you accumulate something called as impious credit, sin as they call. So you have piety and sin. Piety is like a good credit and sin is your bad credit. Because of piety, you are put in a position to enjoy. Because of impiety, we are put in a position to suffer because of sin. And I'll explain to you. Now, say for example, you have a great desire, or say your friend has a great desire to come to America. So whenever he tries to speak, he speaks in English with American accent. Whenever he wants to hear music, he only hears to English music. Whenever he reads books, only English novels. And whenever he opens GRE book to study, he only sees a flight, United Airlines, American Airlines flying. He's only daydreaming, I have to be an American one day. That's his goal. So say such a friend happens to die even before coming to America. But his desire to come to America is very strong. So then what happens? Such a person, the soul, comes and takes a body which will be born in America. But according to what he deserves, if he has done a lot of pious action, he can be born to rich parents in America, millionaire, billionaire family. Or if he has done not so many good credits, he can be born in a slum, in a ghetto, say in Ohio or somewhere, in a ghetto, where the upbringing will not be the best, isn't it? Or even if he doesn't have any kind of good credit, he might be born in a different species only. He can get an animal's body, like a dog's body, cat's body, pig's body, cow's body, donkey's body, all these bodies, isn't it? So this is the mechanism of reincarnation. At the time of death, immediately our desire and what do we deserve, these two things are evaluated. So you can remember the statement: desire, deserve determines destination. These are the 4D, the 4D formula. Desire, deserve determines destination. So now you can, some people will say, why is God so cruel? Why did he make me born in such a poor family? What did I do? Look at my friends, they're all very rich. Look at my friends, they have all the facilities. But me, I'm born in a poor family. I'm not good at anything. I'm good for nothing. Well, now we can question, why was I born in a place where I'm completely poverty stricken? It is because of my past life activities, karma. That karma is what I'm saying called as deserve. How much do we deserve depends on how did I act in my past life or past lives, how have I acted. And desire is what we cultivate in our past life. Like for example, if someone is cultivating a desire, मुझे बस सोना है, पूरे दिन मुझे सोना है, I just want to sleep. Like one boy in IIT slept on Friday, got up on Sunday. He missed the Saturday completely. So some people like to sleep so much, they're not satisfied with any 12 hour, 13 hour, 16 hour, 18 hour they want to sleep, which is very bad for health. So then what the material nature says? Material nature sees that this fellow has a great desire to sleep and enjoy sleeping. But human body is not meant for that, because human body, if you sleep too much, you get diseases, hip pain, back pain, and a lot of other digestive issues, many things come up. So next life, because he has a desire to sleep, he doesn't get human body, he gets a polar bear's body, because polar bear sleeps 6 months in a year, 50%. He can only sleep without anyone disturbing him, isn't it? Similarly, some people have a desire to eat anything and everything. For that, they travel also. They travel to America, try out all the restaurants. Go to India, try out all the restaurants. Go to Europe, Italy, London, or Switzerland. Different places, they just want to eat. They call us foodies. They want to try out everything. Sometimes they eat all kinds of, entities, whether insect or bird or reptile or animal, they don't care. Anything and everything they want to eat. So then Krishna sees that, okay, this person he wants to eat anything and everything. He has no discrimination. So then, because he has a desire to eat anything, everything, human body is not meant for that. Our teeth doesn't support chewing hard stuff like meat. Our digestion, the digestive tract is very sensitive that it cannot support meat. Our acid is weak to digest meat. So then Krishna says, you want to eat anything, everything? Okay, take a body of a pig. Pig means it can eat anything, everything, including stool. Isn't it? So if someone wants to try out anything, everything, you get pig's body. If someone says, I like to eat a lot of meat, then you get tiger's body. Because tiger body, you cannot enjoy eating meat as much as you can in a tiger's body than in a human body. Human body also, people say, but I eat meat, nothing will happen. Nothing might happen. We don't know as of now. But in tiger's body, you can enjoy it even more. Tiger doesn't have to cook any meat. Directly it can eat and enjoy. So the material nature is seeing all these things. What is your desire? Accordingly, you get the next body. Some people don't like to wear clothes. They like to walk naked. They just wear a minimum, something to just cover the upper body, something to cover lower body. Now, as the summer sets in, especially in New York City, you will see very pathetic condition. They just want to expose their parts of the body. So then material nature sees the desire is they don't want to wear clothes. They want to always expose their body. So better you become trees. So next life they'll be born as trees. Isn't it? So therefore you find like this, that according to what desire we cultivate, that accordingly we get a next body. And this is checked at the time of death. How much do we deserve and what are our desires? Accordingly, our next body is given. And I'll show you something from the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. In chapter 8, Krishna talks about it. Please, can you please repeat after me? Antakale cha mam eva
Antakale cha mavev
smaran muktva kalevaram
smaran mukta kalevaram
yaprayati samadbhavam
ya prayati
Yaprayati samadbhavam
samadbhavam
yati nastyatra samshayah.
Yati
yati nasti samshayah.
So in this, you will find what is Krishna telling. Can one of you read translation?
And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt.
Yeah. So at the time of death, see, Krishna is telling, if you remember me at the time of death, you will attain my nature. That means you'll go back to spiritual world, which we'll discuss in the next session. But now you see here. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Please repeat.
Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam
Tajat ante kalevaram.
rajat ante kalevaram
Tam tam evaiti kaunteya.
tam tam evaiti kaunteya
Tada tad bhava bhavitah.
tada tat bhava
Sadasatbhavabhavitah.
bhavita.
Yeah, so Krishna is saying, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajatanti kalevaram. Tajatanti kalevaram means at the time of leaving your body, as you think, whatever your desire is, whatever your attachment is, tam tam evaiti kante. Similarly, you get that body. Who can read? Someone can read? Translation.
Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail.
Yes, that means if an old man is thinking only of his property, he's become so attached to his property, he cannot think of anyone else or anything else but his property. But he also doesn't have any good credits. He hasn't done punya. So next life he'll be born in the same property but a rat in that property. He can be born as a cockroach in that property because they're all living entities, just different dress. So therefore we say mind your mind. What do we become attached to throughout our life? What are we developing desire for throughout our life? Everything is checked at the time of death. And therefore it is said, life is preparation, for death is the exam. And at the time of death, we will be determined what body do we deserve. Do we really deserve a human body? Do we deserve a pig's body? Do we deserve a tree's body? What do we desire and what do we deserve? Is this clear? So this is how so this is how reincarnation happens, by these two D's, desire, deserve. And therefore we say desire, deserve determines destination. Or you can also say desire, deserve at the time of death determines destination. Can add more D's. So you see, this is the scientific mechanism of how reincarnation happens. And therefore Krishna says in second chapter, what is that verse where he says change of clothes? Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani grinnati naroparani tatas sharirani vihaya jirnani anyati sanyati navani dehi. Krishna is telling Arjuna, what happens? What is this reincarnation? Reincarnation means the soul for whom this body is like a dress, having worn out this dress, it gives up this dress and wears another dress. So as of now, I have a human dress, but I can throw it away. As I become old, I will take up a tiger dress. And what dress I take up, accordingly, my functions are different. And I can give up the tiger dress and I can wear a tree's dress. Like that, different kinds of dress are there. How many dresses are there? There are categories. 8.4 million dresses are there. 8.4 million. All insects. In Padma Purana it comes. I can show you. Let me see if I can find it. Yes. If someone is very attached to, say if a boy becomes attached to a girl, the next life he gets a girl's body. Yeah. Girl attached to a boy, she gets a boy's body.
We always met.
Yeah, see, I'll show you here. See, in the Padma Purana, this is there. See? Jalaja Navalakshani, this is not full verse. 1 minute. Yeah, here you can see. Jalajanavalakshaनि stavara laksha vimshati krimayorudda samkyakaha pakshinam dasalakshanam. And there's further. Basically, it's saying, see, Jalajanavalakshaani means those which the aquatics are 900,000 out of 8.4 million. Stavara laksha vimshati means the trees, they are laksha vimshati is 11, how much? 1100, 1.1 million. Krimayo Rudra Sankyakaha. No, sorry, the Krimayo are 1.1 million. Stavara Laksha Vimshati is, how much Laksha Vimshati? 2 million. No? Vimshati is 20. Yeah, so it's 20 lakh. 2 million. Yeah. Pakshinam Lakshanam. And birds are of 1 million types. And these 8.4 million species, they are like levels of consciousness. So therefore, human beings are 400,000 types. So all these different types of blueprints of bodies are already available. According to, at the time of death, it is checked. Okay, what is a desire? What do you deserve? According to your body is given to you, and you are pushed. Then next life again.
Prabhu, they eat the animals. They also become animal. What they eat.
At the time of death, if one is thinking of animal, yes, they become animal.
No, if they eat without thinking, like in the living life, they eating like they eat eggs and animals every day. So they wanna become the animal in the next life. How many times they eat, so they become that times also, right? Or not?
So that's not necessarily they become the animal, but they will be killed.
I listen like some, some group, they said, if you eat anything, you want the next time you become like that. How many times you eat, you become that same life and you suffer same thing, and then you finish your karma.
Yeah, correct. There's something like that. Yes. Yeah. So therefore, we have what do we desire and what do we deserve? So therefore, we have to. Yeah. So this is called as a science of the mechanism, scientific mechanism of reincarnation. Now, so do we live more than once? Yes, we do live more than once. So and now we just saw that reincarnation, there is proof for reincarnation. We saw the story of the boy James and Shukla and many other cases. Phobias is also because of reincarnation. And we also saw the scientific proof for existence of soul, which is consciousness, common sense, NDEs and OBEs. And we also saw the scientific mechanism, what happens at the time of death. No one wants to die, but when we die, what happens? The soul is not killed, rather soul takes up different bodies. And like this, we are all present in this cycle of birth and death. As Shankaracharya says, Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam, idu samsare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare, bhaja govindam, bhaja govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. This famous Bhaja Govindam prayers, Shankaracharya is saying, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. Again take birth, again die. Leave the body. Again you take birth, again you die. Again you take birth. This is called as the cycle of birth and death. And as soon as we take birth, there are problems which we encounter. What are those problems? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. Birth, death, old age and disease. No one wants them. Nobody can avoid it, but we all have to suffer it. So they are the real problems. And apart from that, there are problems due to other living entities called as Adi Bhautika Klesha. Problems due to one's own mind and senses called as Adi Atmika Klesha. And problems due to natural disasters called as Adi Daivika Klesha. So in this material world, this problem after problem. So the problem comes as soon as you come to this material world. And therefore, the cycle of birth and death becomes a miserable cycle for the living entity. So every time he's forced to take birth, sometime as a human, then he's forced to take birth, sometime as a animal, sometime as a bird, sometime as a, like this, he crosses all the 8.4 million species, and then he gets this human form of life. So all of us who are sitting here, we all have a human body. And the prerogative of a human body is that we can understand spiritual truth. Therefore, you don't see dogs and cats here. Otherwise, we can, if we want attendance, we can get dogs and cats. They'll freely come for some dog biscuit, isn't it? But we are giving this knowledge to human beings because this is the speciality of a human body, that it can understand spiritual subject matter. And in that cycle of birth and death, which is very miserable, very painful, the only way to exit that cycle of birth and death is human life. From that human life, you can exit the cycle of birth and death and go to spiritual world, which we will discuss in the next session. This material world is not all in all. There's something called as the spiritual world. That is the goal of life. Just like when you go to a circus or some, what is that? Fair. There's something called as Ferris wheel. You know Ferris wheel? You sit at one point, you keep going round and round and round. But when you're tired, if you cannot exit at the top, you cannot jump from the Ferris wheel, you'll die. You have to wait for it to come down. And at the exit point, you can exit. So that exit point is like a human form of life. Otherwise, you have animal, bird, pig, dog, camel, cat, like that, fishes, insects, trees, and bushes, and leaves, and this amoeba, COVID, all these are different living entities. You can occupy all these bodies. But when you get human form of life, that's a chance for exiting the cycle of birth and death. Because this material world is a place of misery, and Krishna calls it dukkhalam ashashvatam, which we will discuss further in the next coming up sessions. And I'll just quickly show you one thing with which we'll conclude. See here, what is the benefit of this knowledge of body and soul? We'll quickly go through it. 2 minutes. Yeah. See, practical benefits of knowledge of soul in everyday life. First one is universal brotherhood. Today, nowadays, you see, countries are at war with one another. Whether it be Russia, Ukraine, India, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, or Israel, Palestine, isn't it? So many, no one likes one another because we cannot see, why should I consider this other person as my brother? White and black, rich and poor, isn't it? Like when sometimes in India, neighbors have problems. But when we come to US, then say for example, I'm from Karnataka, so I speak in Kannada. So then when I come outside India, I will ask the other person, hey, where are you from? Other person will say, hey, I'm from India. Oh, I'm also from India. So our bonding increases. Then I'll say, okay, where are you from? He says, I'm from South India. I say, I'm also from South India. So more bonding. Then which state? He says, I'm Karnataka. I say, I'm also Kannada. Same. Then he says, which city? Then he says, I'm from Mangalore. I say, no, I'm from Bangalore. Okay, get lost from here. We are different. So in this way, to the degree we are bodily conscious, then Hindu-Muslim fight. Muslim-Christian fight. Jews-Hindus fight. White-black fight. The fighting only happens on bodily platform. Just like when you go to a river, there's a lot of dust collected, lot of foam, lot of twigs and all the other things only on the surface. But if you go deep, it's clean. Similarly, to the degree we are only bodily conscious, there'll always be quarrel. There's no question of universal brotherhood. Srila Prabhupada came to New York City in the 1960s, 1970s. Every time he would visit New York City, he saw the UN in Manhattan. The number of flags around the UN building only increased. Some years ago, we had how many states? 28 states, right? Now how many states are there?
28.
How many?
Because some get merged, some get.
Which got merged? I don't think anything got merged, right? Okay. Yeah. So before there was only Andhra Pradesh. Now you have Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Isn't it? Now there are people who are saying that we want a separate land called as Khalistan. So like that, people want to divide more and more, and only the number of flags are increasing outside UN. So where is universal brotherhood? Universal brotherhood is only possible when there is universal fatherhood. When we all accept God as one common father, then we can accept one another as brothers and sisters. Isn't it? See, what divides us? Hindu, Muslim, white, black, rich, poor, educated, illiterate, beautiful, ugly. But this is all to do with the body. But what unites us is soul consciousness. See, if you come to a ISKCON temple, you'll see Europeans, Chinese, white, black. We all come together and dance, holding each other's hand. But of course, boys dance with boys, girls dance with girls. We will hold each other's hands. People from all walks of life coming together for higher cause. Yeah. And it is a true story. Actually, in Mayapur, in West Bengal, which is the headquarters of ISKCON, we had got over 120 countries, people from 120 countries. And we came together with each different flag, and we did Harinam Sankirtan in Mayapur. And then it was the gathering with the largest number of variety of nations, which beat the previous record, Guinness record of Narendra Modi, who brought only 106 countries. So we wrote to Narendra Modi, is it okay if we proceed ahead to break this record? He was very happy that we're doing it. See? So as soon as we are soul conscious, immediately we can bring all people together. Not only people, we respect all living entities. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Whole world becomes the family. And in family, we don't want to kill any family member. So first one is universal brotherhood. Second is rising above inferiority complex. That means when we think I'm this body, we feel that, oh, look at me, I'm not very smart, I'm not very charismatic, I don't have good skills, so I'm a good for nothing. But people who are spiritually minded, they don't think like that. They see that, yeah, I'm not this body. Yeah, I don't have skills, no problem. Actually, I'm not this body. I'm spirit soul who has this body. Like a person can have Maruti car sometimes, or persons can have Tesla. So if you have Maruti car, you use for what its purpose is. Maybe in the future you'll get Tesla. But don't identify the shortcomings of the body as your shortcoming. The IQ given with this body is not your IQ. The soul is very smart. As of now, we just have this body. So if someone makes fun of your body saying, hey, you're so fat, no, you tell him, I'm not fat, my body is fat. I'm the spirit soul, which is neither fat nor thin. Isn't it? So you can rise above inferiority complex. Positive outlook and attitude to life. We can understand. Yeah, maybe one of you can read this. Who's there? Girish, are you in a position to read?
Let me read it.
Okay, yes, bro, you can read. Everybody's selfish from there.
Everybody is selfish. Just see how he is not cooperating with me. I feel lonely and cornered. I think I am also should learn to become selfish, harsh, and arrogant to survive and grow in life. Then I'll show others whom I am.
Yeah.
More
So
wisdom.
he has a competition with others. He says that he is selfish, so I'll also be selfish. Isn't it? But he doesn't see that actually people are not selfish. People act negatively in this world because they themselves would have undergone some negative experience. But that negativity is not them. They are different from that negativity. Just as Jesus says, hate the sin, but not the sinner. Because the spirit soul is always pure. The spirit soul is because it's always pure. The problem comes only when we identify their activities with that person. Sometimes certain activities are done out of circumstance, isn't it? So if we are only very materialistic in our thinking, then we will blame people for what they do, for how they behave. We cannot give them second chance. But you see the person with spiritual consciousness. Yeah, can you read this, Prabhu?
No. Okay, instead of blaming my friend for not being cooperative, let me learn to help him and be more kind and contraries with him, then hopefully he will change. Unless I set a good example, what's the point of demanding the same from the others?
Yeah. That means he understands deep within, he is pure hearted. He has a soft corner. He is spirit soul. So he is all good. But the problem is he's covered over by negativity due to being associated with particular instances. So let me extend from my side to help him bring out the good from within. See, this is a person who is spiritually ahead. See, so therefore it's being said here. One who is materialistic, they have no wisdom that everyone is originally a part and parcel of the Supreme. But now they are covered up. Just like a raindrop, when it comes, the drop of water from rain is pure, but it hits the ground and becomes muddy. So similarly, we are all pure, but when we associate with the material world, we become dirty. We learn bad habits. But a spiritually minded person, he learns spiritual qualities like tolerance, patience, and he understands everyone is potentially good. So he sees hope in others as well as hope in oneself. And the last one, right use of resources. Yeah, can you read this?
I have put, I think it's 1 billion, I believe.
It's 100 million.
100 million. Okay. In the Swiss bank account so that even my son cannot touch my money. Now, whether I am behind the bars or moving around in cars, I have no worries. It's all my money. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. So he is a person who thinks that whole world is meant for my enjoyment. He doesn't worry about what about others. He says as long as I am enjoying, let others go to hell, no problem. Because he thinks we are this body at the end of the day. I just have to satisfy my body. But see how a spiritually minded person thinks. Yeah, please read.
Look at the cows. They are suffering without food. Let me arrange some grass for her. Every living being is my brother and sister. Every creature deserves to live. If I can preach to a few rich men of my country, I'll teach them the culture of sharing the other resource of the supreme intelligence amongst all his creature. Then there will be no poverty in our country.
Yeah, so a spiritually minded person is called as Paradukka Dukki and Parasukha Sukhi. That means when they see that others are happy, they are also happy. When they see that others are not happy, they are not happy. So such people, spiritually minded people, they are ready to work hard so that others can be happy. Why should others be happy? Because everyone is a child of God. Whereas on the other hand, you can see the materialistic person, he's only worried about his money, his belly. Spiritual minded people are not like that. They care about others. Because they're all God's children. Like that. So we will pause with this. If there are any questions, in a couple of minutes, we'll just take some questions. 5 minutes. Yeah. So are there any questions? I have one question here. One devotee is asking: is brain considered part of the gross body? Yes, it is part of the gross body. Correct. Yeah. Or any other questions? Anyone else? So in just today, we covered about the scientific proofs for existence of soul. We studied about reincarnation, and we saw cases of reincarnation and the scientific mechanism of reincarnation. What determines our next body? How many bodies are there in blueprint? 8.4 million species. And we also studied about how the living entity is stuck in the cycle of birth and death. And human form of life is the gateway to the ultimate greatness. That means that it is in the Ferris wheel, there's one point of exit, the Ferris wheel. Similarly, if you want to exit the Ferris wheel of the cycle of birth and death, human form of life is that one point from where we can go from material world to spiritual world. And then we discussed about the benefits of this understanding, this knowledge of soul. So next time, what we will do is we will study about the third sutra. This material world is not all in all. Spiritual world exists. There we'll first talk about what is karma. It's a very interesting topic. I'm pretty sure all of you will have many questions for that karma part. And then we talk about material world and spiritual world. What is that spiritual world? We will discover. I've got another question. whatever is physically pointable in the body is gross body. Yes. Yeah. Subtle body is so subtle that you cannot see it, but you know you have it. You can utilize it. Like the memory unit, that's your mind. Your discriminatory unit is your intelligence. Your identity is your identification unit, is your ego. But at the same time, you cannot point out. It's not, ego is not here, mind is not here. It's subtle. Okay, anyone else has any other question? Okay. So we will have a small quiz, and let me just remind you, at the end of this course, we'll be giving all of you a certificate for Gita in nutshell, and it will be something of the format, Gita Life NYC or part of ISKCON NYC is happy to, give this award, this certificate to such and such for having completed the course Gita in nutshell, with a grade certain, whatever the grade you get. So I'm pretty sure all of you would like to score nice grades on your certificate. So please do attempt this quiz. If you don't attempt, it's a straight 0. And it will only lower the grade. So, and also last time, unfortunately, when I went to the answers, I think some of you used Chat GPT. So anyone uses Chat GPT, I can make out the language. So if you use Chat GPT only gives you wrong answers. And just a tip from my side, you only use Chat GPT in a subject matter where you have control of. That means it can help you make things better for you. Like you can sound better, you can present better, but it cannot give you a better knowledge. So as soon as you use Chat GPT, it will all be wrong answers. So last time, very few people have scored well, very, very few. So my request is, now this time, after seeing that, this time we are making multiple choice questions because I felt it was a little difficult for all of you to comprehend. So this time it's multiple choice, and I'll just share the question paper with you. And next 5 to 10 minutes we'll spend just to quickly answer the quiz, and then we'll wind up. Just a minute. Uh, 1 minute. Okay, so you have sent me the link, but they have to answer. What do you want me to put in this chat, right? Okay, just a minute. I'll put in the chat, Zoom chat. Okay. Oh, sorry, I put it individual. Yeah, all of you can write the quiz here. I've posted on the chat. It's a pretty easy quiz, I believe. It's a multiple choice, so it's easy. But how can you make it? I can make 20 questions. It's not. Come on, Prabhu.
I'll give you 2 more. So how long more you continue here?
Actually, once they start writing the test in less than 5 minutes, then I can go anywhere. They're writing online test. What is the question 2 in some? Oh, come on, come here. What is this?
So you
Oh, all of you are done?
Yes, I am done.
Oh,
Prabhuji submitted answers, but there was this last question which I couldn't even see. And in the score, I was able to see what is the benefit of knowledge of soul. I don't know which page that was in.
Yeah, the same. That
okay.
question I think
Understood.
came after we
Later.
submitted the quiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one mess up because they only
Okay.
I asked to make the question, he only did 8 questions. So I think I'll just remove
And
the
there were some multiple choices, right? I thought there's
correct.
only one answer, but then I just selected one and
Okay.
submitted.
Okay. The last question, what I can do is I'll remove the last question. But I think this time it was too easy. So next time I will balance it.
Yes.
Next time I will make the question paper. So I request all of you who are online, please complete the quiz. I'm going to stop it in 5 minutes. I'll stop taking response. So thank you very much for attending. So we will meet next Sunday at 12:30. If we can start sharp on 12:30, we can end sharp by 1:30, 1:45. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.